Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fiume, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the founder of Spoil Me Kids Spa, Jenna Vrzal. Jenna, how are you today?
I am great. How are you, Frank?
Awesome. Jenna, it's so great to have you on the show finally.
I know. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. All right. So would you tell our audience all about Spoil Me Kids Spa and when you get started?
So Spoil Me Kids Spa, I started back in 2017. I was a mom, and after looking for party venues for my daughter, after you go to Chuck E. Cheese or the jumpy places one or two times, you're like, okay, what else is there? And so when looking for something, I couldn't really find anything other than, jumpy places, playgrounds, things like that. And I'm a cosmetologist background. So it's one of those, there's nothing like for girls to play dress up, do makeup, like all the things that I love to do as a little girl. And so that's kind of how my vision was sparked. But yeah, and so in 2017, I started this thing.
That's awesome. Jenna, it was so brilliant. And we know as parents, right, we will do anything for our kids.
Yes.
And we will spend money on our kids regardless of the economy, regardless of anything. It's like kids and pets, we will do anything right?
For sure. Especially just to see them smile. You're going to go a little bit extra, especially on their birthday or a special occasion. You don't mind spending just a little more to make them, feel all the things.
Of course. So when you started this in 2017, did you anticipate this as being more popular for birthday parties and stuff? Or did you see this as a possibility that you're going to have just recurring customers of kids, moms and dads bringing their kids in when it's not even a birthday party? How did that work?
So when I first started, it was for sure just to do parties. That's, that was my initial thought. And then as people started hearing about us and coming, we would get so many phone calls like, hey, can I just bring my daughter in just because? Or we're on a play date and, there's nothing like this. I don't want to take them to, an adult salon because it's different. The chairs are too big. The ladies don't really talk their lingo. So they don't want to talk about Disney princesses. And so just the more thought I had, and I was like, what if we did not just parties, but catered to just, kids in general. And that's kind of now the business model. We offer private parties on one side, and then another side of the building, we're able to take walk-ins or just individual appointments if you wanted to come, just because.
That's awesome. And you were a cosmetologist before you started doing this. You said, how long were you doing that before you started Spoil Me Kids?
I've been a cosmetologist since 2012. So not too long before, but a good 5 years prior to starting, Spoil Me. But I always dreamed of being in the hair salon. And I guess just as things come full circle and you grow and I have kids and, your mindset and your wants kind of change. And that's kind of what happened is instead of wanting to be in a hair salon, it's, now I get to cater to kids and make, be a day maker for so many, not only kids, but when your kids are happy, you're as a parent, you're happy and it makes your heart smile just to see them happy. So I am thankful to be a part of so many memories for not only parents, but kids and grandparents. And yeah, I've had a lot of good memories, that we're able to create. So I'm super thankful for this.
Well, Jenna, you figured out something very early in your business that you just said it. You're in the memory making business. This is really the business that you're in.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've had people that a cancer patient, the dad was given 3 weeks left and they came and they were dressed from head to toe, in a tuxedo, and the daughter was it was just so beautiful. She was turning 6, had no idea that her dad would probably not make it to her 7th birthday. And
Oh,
it was so emotional to see them do like a daddy-daughter dance. And there's so many memories like that of kids who their parents have passed or so. I feel like God has really placed me in this industry to like touch so many lives. So yeah, it's beautiful.
that's amazing. And yet we think when we start a business, we have an idea. We think it's only a business, and we don't realize when we start out the ripple effect
Mhm.
that our business potentially has, because we can't envision things like that and the
Yeah.
impact that we make on people, our clients, our
Yeah.
employees, and of course down the road franchising. And we'll talk about franchising here in just a moment, but
Yeah.
I'm I'm impressed that you figured out though that you were in the memory making business early. Was this your first venture and your first
Yeah.
entrepreneur?
Yes, I was scared. It was one of those like either go do your 9 to 5 or you start now. But once you have a 9 to 5 and you get comfortable in a day to day and you don't really make time to become entrepreneur. So it was a life-changing moment for me when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And I'm so thankful I did. So yeah. But yeah,
That
this is my first ever anything.
I mean, the entrepreneurship journey is just, to me, it's fascinating. There's so many highs and lows that we go through. It can be a lonely bit in any business. It could be lonely as we venture out on our own. Were you encouraged as a child to get into your own business? What was your background like? I'm so curious to know. Like,
Yeah.
was entrepreneurship part of your growing up?
I think so. So my father was military, retired. He retired from the Air Force, and once he retired, he actually opened car washes in San Antonio, Texas. And so I would say maybe like at the age of 12, my dad became a business owner. But it even goes back. His mother was actually a cosmetologist. She owns like a day spa in Chicago. And so growing up, like I spent my summers in Chicago at my grandmother's beauty salon. So I think just from a little girl, like it was always ingrained in me, like, to run your own shit. And so yeah, I for sure come from an entrepreneurial family, to where I'd never, um, it was scary, but I think because I had people before me, I saw, that it's possible and you can do this. Yeah, I wasn't scared necessarily to start a business.
I can tell you seem fearless.
I'm glad I seen it because you don't know how I feel right now inside, even doing this podcast.
No, no, you're doing great. You're doing great. How'd you come up with the name of the company?
Spoil me. Actually, funny you say that is my dad's car washes, they were called Wash Me. And so I
Oh,
was like, like, what if
okay.
we had like a family brand and, everything was blank me, right? And so just
Right.
thinking of it, I was like, you know what? That would be like a perfect name for this. Spoil me. Like, because you're coming to get spoiled. And we literally do that we take care of the parents and the kids from the time they walk in the door. I'm super huge on like customer service. Like it's a big part of my business. And so from the time people come in, like they feel spoiled, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, so I think like the name, it was just perfect. But yeah, for my parents' car washes being called Wash Me, it was just one of those I
I
kind of
love it.
went off of that.
Yeah, you kind of pay homage to that.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah,
I like
for
that a
sure.
lot. Okay. One of the things I really like to do on my podcast when I can is I love when founders are super transparent and they share, because there's other founders that are watching and listening and they're learning. And there's people who are not as fearless as you that want to jump into a business or a franchise and they're scared to death. And I like to share challenges because it's how we get through those challenges and obstacles that make us great entrepreneurs. Would you be willing to share maybe when you were starting out, what was maybe a challenge that you had that you were able to overcome?
There's so many challenges. Owning a business, you kind of don't even know. No, there's no real like playbook as to like,
Right.
even as far as like setting up a bank account or just taxes and all the things that like you have to stay on top of like when running and or owning a business. I would say like my biggest challenge was that like laws change all the time. There's so many new things that, happen, and you wanting to stay, stay in the know and know what's going on without being so overwhelmed. How I overcame that is I would say to find a business buddy, find someone who is already doing it, who's done it, who is more successful than you. I like to be the baby fish in the pond because if I'm surrounded by people that have been there, done that, I don't necessarily have to go through all the bad challenges that, people who don't have someone in their corner or someone that they could call. So that would be my advice to anyone starting up, is to really dig and like really network and find people, maybe not even necessarily in your industry, but in business, because you can learn from so many people in all avenues. So that would be like my recommendation, is to find a
That
business
is
buddy.
that is fantastic advice. Too many people I know they only learn from their own experiences, not from others. And if you can learn from other people, you obviously grow so much faster. You avoid the mistakes.
Hmm.
I would probably say that is attributed to your success in
Yeah.
being able to learn from others, because this business has too many fatal errors we can make. But if we can learn from others that have paved the way, right? Success leaves clues, so to speak, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, I for sure. Having people that have done it already, they're golden. They're golden.
Is there a particular mentor or somebody that inspired you to grow your business and to learn how to do what you do?
I would say not do what I do, but for sure my dad. Just watching him from a young girl to even now, like he's retired, he sold his car washes, so he's living the life. But if there's anything I need, like he still stays in the know with stuff. And he's willing to help me. He'll probably be on my board once my business grows. Like I'm sure he's gonna be, on the spoil me team too. But for sure, just watching him overcome things and still like maintaining his composure and being a great father. It's just, yeah, it's been rewarding to see. And I say like
Hmm.
I follow like after him, just because if I need anything, I know like I can call him.
Oh, that's sweet. What was there a piece of advice that he gave you, or what did he say when you told him you were going to do this?
Do you want to know the truth?
I want to know the
The
truth.
truth is, when I told my dad this idea, he told me I was crazy. He said, there's no way that people are going to spend money to get their kids' nails done. Like a 5-year old, a
Uh
3-year
huh.
old, like, he was like, you're crazy. He was like, maybe every once in a while, but for it to be like a business, like so it's funny because even though he's like the person I look up to in business, he's the one that I had to prove wrong. And now I'm like, oh, now what, Dad? What do you got to say now? And he was like, I was like, yeah, you guess you were just wrong. No, just kidding. But yeah,
No, yeah, no. He's
he's a
obviously he's a
man, so
huge.
he didn't
Is
understand
exactly.
that we do spend that.
Jenna, this is a great segue though, that we can give advice to other people that whether they want to buy your franchise or become franchisors. This is huge advice because look, this same thing happened to me with my dad specifically. My dad, told me all the reasons why I wasn't going to be able to get involved in sports and have a sports business. But he's a big fan now, and he was as I succeeded. But here's the thing that people need to know, and you experienced the same thing. Our family, our friends, they love us. They want us to do well. They don't want to see us get hurt. They don't want to see us fail. It's because they can't see that business for themselves
Yeah,
on why they weren't encouraging.
yeah.
So your dad, it didn't resonate with him, your
The
business.
type
My
of
dad is not.
business. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Now, if you told him, and my dad was in the medical field. My dad wanted me to go into the medical field because it's something that he knew, so he was confident in. Just like, your dad obviously did very well with the car wash business. Car wash business is phenomenal business, by the way. It's
he was in
fantastic.
it, I think, 22 years, I want to say, before he sold. Yeah,
Yeah, great, great business. But it's only because he or my dad could see the business for themselves, and that's why they give that advice. And
yeah.
but I love that he sees it now. And
Yeah, for
it's not that
sure.
we want to prove our parents wrong or anything, but the thing is, you had a vision, I had a vision. We knew what we wanted. We knew more than they did in our specific field. And I encourage anybody to, if they're going to look at maybe becoming a franchisee of your business or any business for that matter, just know that when friends and family tell you, I don't know about this, it's that they're thinking about it for themselves. What do
Yeah.
you think about that?
No, I think that I totally agree with that, is that it's just because someone else doesn't necessarily, have the same vision as you, it's okay. And sometimes they become like a good partner because, it's almost like yin and yang type thing. And they could bring, other assets to you that maybe not the vision, but, the background part of it. So,
Absolutely. We need people to challenge us. The last thing we
yeah.
want is somebody to just yes us to death.
Yeah, no, for sure. You will never grow unless you're challenged. You'll never grow in business or anything in life unless you make, mistakes. So I think that being challenged is for sure good in business and life.
Yeah. How far along were you with Spoil Me Kids until you were like, I think I'm onto something that could be really big?
I would say for sure a year in. I would a year after I opened my doors. I would say like
That's amazing, by the way.
Yeah, no, I would say after like 6 months, once you come to a spoil me party, you're kind of amazed. Even the dads and the men that come in, they like always come up to me, they'll find me and they'll be like, man, this is kind of great. Like, this is like, you have a well-oiled machine here. And I'm like, so I would say after a year, we were booming. People were just calling. The phones were going crazy. And then that's kind of how I started to grow because it was like, okay, I can't, since we do private parties, I can only do so many parties in a day. So I need another store and I need this. And then people would come, to parties from out of town and say, dang, we need one of these in Dallas or Houston. And then that's when I was like, I think that as a little girl, I dreamed of having beauty salons, but that was like God's gift to me. It was never going to be a beauty salon. It was going to be all these little kids spas everywhere. And so to see it kind of like really come into fruition, it's still some days surreal to me, but I'm super thankful just because again, it goes back to like the memories that you create for people and just being like a day maker for so many people and making people smile, and to know that like I started that and it can literally spread and around the world. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Well, I could tell you have an immense amount of gratitude.
For sure.
And you're obviously very well known. Your brand is well known in San Antonio. I'd love to hear what made you ultimately decide to franchise, because you could have just kept opening company-owned locations. When did franchising come into to your strategy?
So I am a super, super hands-on owner. I think that in any small business, a lot of owners will agree with me that your business runs better when you're present. When you're hands-on and you're in, and the employees know you and your customers know you, it's just better. And so when I opened my second location, I kind of like started feeling like, oh my gosh, I miss, those people. I haven't seen those customers. I haven't seen, those employees. And so it was one of those like, how can I be in so many stores at once? I can't. So I need to find like-minded individuals that, want to be day makers who enjoy, pouring into their employees and to their, customers, because I don't think that, almost like the Chick-fil-A model. Like if you own a Chick-fil-A, you have to work at your store. Like you can't just be
Absolutely.
a owner and you're out the door. Like they're really strict on, you have to be an owner operator. And so that's kind of like where that's what I strive to be too. Just so that's how the whole franchising model for me like came into my brain, because I couldn't be at all these stores. So how was I going to take care of a Dallas and Austin and Houston store living in San Antonio? And so yeah, so in order for my business to grow, I had to be willing to franchise.
Look at that. You learned another valuable lesson. If you really love your business, you have to let it go.
I know
And
it's hard.
yeah, it is hard, but Founder to founder, I know we probably both had that go through our mind where nobody can do it like me. But if we live by that motto, we're only hurting ourselves and we're hurting the amount of people we can impact and
Yeah.
touch,
No,
you
yeah.
know? And then we quickly find out after we do let go and we let our brand breathe and grow and start bringing other people into our world, that some of the people are much better than us in various roles, that
Oh, yeah.
we weren't all that good at everything, let's
Yeah.
face it.
No, I agree. For sure. For sure. People add value, and that's where I'm at, because of course as business owners, founders, like we have brain farts, and sometimes I don't have all the ideas because
Right.
like my creativity sometimes is down the drain some days. So to have, other owners be able to pour into your business and get, new fresh ideas from different aspects, that's what I'm looking for. Like, not only for other people to own Spoil Me, but to pour into it too. Just because I think fresh ideas are good to have in business and in life.
So, hey, Jenna, I'm kind of wondering, who do you think is the right kind of franchisee for you? Like, what attracts them to your brand, and who do you look for in a franchise?
I would say a mom, just to be able to relate to what other moms are looking for, to relate to the kids. You kind of have a different patience about yourself when you are a mother dealing with children. So I would definitely say a mom, who loves to play dress up and have fun. Like, you have to good energy. You have to be bubbly. But for sure, I don't know. That's a good question, but a mom for sure.
So you want them to be outgoing. Evidently, you want them to be hands-on too, like you are, because right, because that was the secret to your success. So you don't want somebody necessarily to buy this franchise and then just start hiring people. You want them to be involved and you want them to be the operator, it sounds like.
Yeah, either they're going to be the operator or have someone, and I would suggest that if they have a manager, a store manager, that they give them some type of incentive in the business, whether it be 1%, 2%, 3%, some type of skin in the game, because then they take it more serious. They're not going to let the flow, they're not going to let little things happen, because they know that, hey, I'm a part owner of this company, even if I am 5% owner.
Sure.
So for sure, I would definitely encourage. I would, if you're not going to be an owner operator, you would have to at least have someone who has some skin in the game to make me feel comfortable to say, like, yeah, you know what, you're a good fit, as long as you have someone with you.
Sure. That's very, very smart. No, that's smart
Yeah.
because we want to make sure that if they're not going to be operating it, that if they have somebody who is going to care as much as the franchise owner.
Right. No, yeah.
Yeah. What's the investment range to open a location?
So of course it's gonna, vary, depend on where you're located. Here in Texas, it's a little cheaper. So I would say though, a safe range would be like 150 to 200 all in. I think you could get away with owning a Spoil Me, and that would include everything,
And how
including
big,
me. I'm just kidding.
including you, of course, how big is the footprint of a location? And where do you like to have them placed?
200 square feet, I think, is ideal. It could be a little bit bigger, but I would say anywhere from 21 to 2,300 square feet is perfect, space wise.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's no right or wrong, as far as where they're placed. Of course, heavy foot traffic, but I think because of the brand, like, once you come to a Spoil Me party, it doesn't matter if you're seen or not. People are gonna find you. So yeah, I have one store that's like on a highway, and we're just as busy as a one store that's tucked off in a neighborhood that you have to go through houses to get to. So I wouldn't say there's really no right or wrong. Of course, in an area that has children, that maybe a dance school, or a business that is similar to yours, to where you guys can kind of get the same customers. But I would say anywhere, to be honest.
Well, I would imagine the reason why that's your answer is because social media has got to be the main source of marketing, and then which leads to word of mouth of people coming. Because I would imagine once one girl has her birthday party there, her friends then have birthday parties there, and it kind of has that
Yes.
ripple effect, right?
Yes. Oh, for sure. The beauty of Spoil Me, and I know I probably, as a owner, I could definitely do better in this area, but it would be marketing. I don't spend marketing dollars. I don't. And someone asked me, they're
Interesting.
like, well, what if you do? And I'm like, well, what if I do is right? I would probably be to my head, but word of mouth over. I'm almost going to be open for 8 years at my first store, but word of mouth has been everything. Of course, social media, you come here, my stores are beautiful. Even the
Hmm.
moms, a mom comes into the store and it's more of like a fairy castle, like enchanted. I mean, I'm in a store now and like it's not somewhere that's going to be like flower power, like a mom would want to have her party here too. I would want to have my party here too. So
That's great. Where do you see your brand growing over the next 5, 10 years?
I mean, it's almost like limitless. I think if I have, like, once I get like a solid team, right now it's just me, right? I'm it. So I'm in the process of like growing my team so I can grow my brand. I want to focus where I see for sure now is I want to focus in Texas. Texas is huge. I have, right now we're just in the San Antonio market, but I have so many people in Houston, Dallas, Austin. I think Texas is big enough to where I can kind of get, the feel of having multiple franchisees under me and then, go there and then all the laws and the legal stuff behind like, different laws for franchises in different
Sure.
states. In the next 3 to 5 years, I for sure see a good amount of stores opening in the Texas area. Maybe, maybe elsewhere too. Maybe it'll grow faster than I anticipate. But I think slow growth is good growth because you learn. You learn as you grow.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like you don't want to drive that sports car too fast when
Yeah.
or drive fast when you've just learned to drive. It's slow
Yeah.
and steady wins the race because if
Correct.
we go too fast and we don't have all of our, T's crossed and, I's dotted, that's when huge mistakes happen and can be fatal for any business. So
Snowball effect
being
for
careful.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Why is now a great time for somebody to own a Spoil Me Kids, especially in the great state of Texas?
Well, because we're the hottest thing on the market. No, I would say if you think about it, like to invest $150,000, right? And you can say like I own a business. I think right now, like to get in when we're fresh and I'm just starting to grow. As we grow, of course, things are gonna cost more, right? As the brand grows and popularity, things, it costs more. So
Sure.
I would just say if, now's the time just because like everything's fresh, like you can be a part of the growth and be there from, the beginning and to see, to be a part of something growing it's a beautiful like feeling too. And then yeah, the cost right now is low.
Well, there is a huge advantage of joining a franchise system when it's young and just starting out. Yes, there's challenges along the way. There's a challenge in any business, but I think another advantage of somebody joining your system now is they are getting you. They're getting access to the founder,
Yeah.
and they're able to, let's face it, they're able to also share their ideas and you get to collaborate with them. And you're only going to become a better founder and just a better franchisor by having great franchisees that bring something to the table with their own experience, whether it's their own career experience they bring or things they see, ideas they have. And so this is an opportunity for somebody to get in on a ground floor of a growing brand that they
Hmm.
can actually make a difference and not just be somewhere where they have all these rules they have to follow. They get to be part of making this better, making this bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you. I think so.
I think I just sold you on why Spoil Me Kids is a great franchise opportunity.
Yeah, no, you did. You can be on my team, Frank. Come on my team.
Thanks, Jenna. Jen, if someone was interested in learning more about opening one of your franchises, where would they go?
They can go to spoilmekidspa.com. On our website, there is a franchise tab. And if you're interested, you can click on it and fill out the inquiry, and someone will contact you. And you can have we'll call you and have an in-depth conversation and go over any questions or anything. But yeah, for sure, the website.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, I want to finish up with one last question for you. I always end every podcast, I call it the franchise tip jar, so we can help give advice to others. So I'd actually like to ask you this. Talking about future franchisees, if you were talking to somebody in the future who's going to join your franchise as a future franchisee, if they were going to hear from you now, what would you want them to know right now why partnering with you is great?
I would just want them to know that I guess I would sell myself if I'm being honest. If they partner with, if they own a Spoil Me, I'm super, if you can't tell, I'm passionate about my business, for one. I'm passionate about people. I love to pour into people. So not only are they, buying into a business, but I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to help them. I'm going to encourage them. I'm going to push them. I'm going to challenge them. All the things. I'm a super hands-on person, and I would want to see every store and every franchisee succeed. So if you join my team, you're going to have a solid team behind you that will make sure that, you don't feel lost every step of the way. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jenna, I wish you all the best and continued success. I think you're a winner, and I think that you've got an incredible future ahead, especially knowing that slow and steady wins this race. Obviously, your passion has gotten you this far, and it's going to be exciting to see your brand grow.
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you today. I definitely enjoyed it, and I hope to talk to some of them soon.
Yes, thanks, Jen. It was great meeting you.
Yes, you too, Frank. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.